Today we have the famous aged Jimmy Page No. 2 Gibson Custom Les Paul. And yes, it comes in at a crazy price tag of £25,000. At first glance, it just looks like a classic burst. But hidden beneath the surface, there's secret switches, bizarre wiring mods, and tones you'd never expect from a Gibson Les Paul. But is this just another overpriced Gibson artist signature model? In today's Squealing Pig Guitars video, I'm gonna find out, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury shred machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Ben Keatley and welcome back to another video. As you can tell by my sweaty appearance, it's very hot in the UK at the moment, and in this studio we have no aircon and a lot of sound insulation, so let's just say it's very hot in here. But all that aside, I am beyond excited to show you this beautiful Gibson custom shop Jimmy Page No. 2 Les Paul. But just before we reveal this guitar to you, make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy these SPG videos, hit the hype points button, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. But let's not dawdle any further. Let's talk about the backstory of this Jimmy Page No. 2. So in this section of the video, we're going to talk about the backstory of Jimmy Page's No. 2 Gibson Les Paul 59 Standard. It's known as one of the most legendary guitars of all time, as it was so heavily modded. So Page bought the guitar around 1973 after owning his iconic No. 1 1959 Gibson Les Paul Standard. He got that guitar from Joe Walsh and used it heavily during Led Zeppelin's peak. So the new guitar was another 1959 Sunburst Les Paul Standard, acquired because he wanted a reliable second guitar for touring and alternate tunings. As we know, Jimmy Page was really experimenting with tunings in the peak of Led Zeppelin, obviously using Dad Gad for Kashmir, and even like the Rain song and stuff like that. I know that was on acoustic, but he used a lot of quirky open tunings. One modification he made really early was shaving back some of the neck so it felt more like his No. 1, which had an ultra-thin profile. So as I mentioned, he bought it in 1973, and from about 1975, it was mainly a backup guitar for his No. 1, especially during the 1975 tour when Page needed quick replacements for broken strings and different tunings. In 1980s, Page turned No. 2 into an experimental tonal machine. He added hidden switches underneath the pickguard, he added coil splitting abilities, and different series and parallel switches. Of course, in 2009, Gibson chose to recreate this guitar in the custom shop. There was rumored to be about 325 made. There were different runs, so there was like a VOS run, there was an aged run like the one that we have today, and then there was an aged and signed, which is definitely the most rare and expensive out there. A lot of people associate this guitar with Kashmir, as he would use Dad Gad tuning on it. You can see lots of live videos where he uses No. 2 for Kashmir, hence why I used it for the intro clip song today. So that's the backstory of the guitar. I think it's pretty interesting, the development of No. 2, but of course we still need to see this replica from Gibson. So let's crack open the case and run down its specs. So here we have it, the legendary Jimmy Page version 2 Les Paul, and this is of course the aged version from Gibson. This is number 041. This was a run made in 2009, and there was a total of 325 released worldwide. There was only 100 aged ones, 200 VOS, and then there was 25 aged and signed ones. The aged and signed ones always go for crazy money regardless of the artist. What I love about this Jimmy Page No. 2 is that there's so many hidden features and unique specs of this one. But at its bare bones, it's a Les Paul standard, so we have a one-piece mahogany body, a two-piece flame maple top, which has that version 2 burst, which looks stunning. It's got a really nice kind of dark perimeter going to a lovely amber in the middle. Of course, we have a mahogany neck with this really nice dark dye down here. I assume that's when they shaved the neck down and then refinished this part of the neck. Very interesting. And then we have a rosewood fingerboard with celluloid inlays. We have the replaced Grover kidney bean tuners and then the Gibson logo on that headstock. Of course, it's aged by Tom Murphy. It's got that beautiful checking all over this guitar, some really nice rub down areas. This is one of the nicest of the era that I've seen. Of course, we've got 22 frets on this one, 24.75-inch scale length, and a 12-inch radius. What I love about this guitar is that it has a shaven down neck. This profile feels more like a 60s shape, and it was basically trying to replicate No. 1 Jimmy Page. So it's a really nice slim neck, very easy to get around, and I've got a bit of an affinity for 60s Les Pauls at the moment, so I'm loving the feel of that neck. It's been done really nicely. There's a little bit of aging, but it's not going to get in your way. So now let's talk about the pickups and electronics. This is arguably the most important bit about Page 2. This is obviously the tone laboratory that Jimmy Page was messing about with. So starting off, we have a covered neck pickup, and then we have an uncovered bridge pickup. These are custom wound Gibson pickups. In the neck, we have what they call Page version 1, and in the bridge, we have Page version 2. We have a three-way switch, 2 volumes and 2 tones, and that's where the typical Gibson Les Paul specs come to an end. Each one of these knobs has a push-pull ability. On the back end here, these are coil splitting, so you've got coil splitting for your bridge and coil splitting for the neck. Then on the volumes, you have series and parallel switches for each individual pickup. And then underneath the pick guard there, you'll see there's 2 little buttons. I'll engage them both now. This one on the left, or the closest to me, is a series parallel switch for the whole guitar. And then this is a phasing switch. So that means you can get the Peter Green tone in the middle, which is really cool. You have a kaleidoscope of different tones here. You can make this guitar sound like a Strat. You can make this guitar sound like it's got single coil pickups in each position. It's a very experimental guitar, and I love how Gibson recreated this. Other specs that we have, which are pretty quirky, is that we have an ABR1 bridge, but with an added fun wheel. Again, a very common modification of the era to support the ABR1 and make sure it didn't fall through. Out of all the kind of artist recreations I've seen, this is one of my favorites visually. I think it looks insane. I love the kind of dark hue to the bottom of the neck. I love how it's got that slim shape. I love all the unorthodox switching. I think this one's going to be an absolute musical machine. But that's enough blab. I can't wait to plug this in. So let's fire up the Mesa Boogie and get into the tone demonstration. So guitarists, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to hear this beautiful Jimmy Page No. 2 Les Paul in action. We've got a hell of a lot of hidden switches to get through today, but instead of showing you every single combination of switches, I'm going to try and make it as musical as possible and as interesting as possible for you. So, of course, for today's episode, I'm using the Mesa Boogie Mark V amplifier, and to start off with, I'm just using a compressor going into the first channel, which is the clean channel, and I've got the golden reverberator in the loop and a little bit of delay from the Galaxy. So let's just start off with the simple settings. I've got it in series mode, as that is the traditional setting for a Les Paul, and I'm just going to use the neck, the middle, and the bridge, all in humbucker. So let's just play a very classic riff. That sounds really nice in the middle. Bridge pickup. Straight off the bat, lovely balanced set of pickups. I love how this is uncovered as well, looks really cool. Now let's just do the simple kind of coil split tone, so same riff. Middle. That sounds like a piezo. Sounds so good. I've got to add a chorus out. So far this guitar sounds incredible. I did think the bridge pickup sounded a little bit too thin with the coil split, but the neck and the middle position sounded really, really good. Let's turn off that chorus now and explore the other settings. So you should be able to see on the B camera here that we have 2 hidden switches underneath the pick guard here. Basically, the first one is a series and parallel switch. So when it's out, it's in series mode. And then this one here is just like a phasing option switch. So basically, you get the Peter Green tone in the middle position. We also have a series and parallel switch on the neck and the bridge volumes. I'm not really too sure why you have 2 of them switches. If you know, let me know down below. I guess it's so you can get different combinations. This is series. Get that really nice kind of thick humbucker tone, but as you put it into parallel, it's going to sound more like a Strat. Let's do that in the middle position. Bridge position, this is in series. Parallel. So you get the idea, obviously thins it out a little bit, and in that middle position, if I then engage the phase reverse switch, you can get that perfect Peter Green tone. Really cool kind of quacky wah tone. And just so you can hear the comparison, this is with the phase switch in, out. So you can see how much fullness you get when it's disengaged, and when it's engaged, you obviously get that quack. So there's all the electronics and the switching options of this guitar. I'm not going to reference the switches anymore because I want to focus more on the playability, the resonance, and basically how much it inspires me musically. Because regardless of the switches, it's the actual guitar that you're playing, and obviously you can get all these different cool sounds, but how do the main humbucker tones sound going through the amplifier? And that's what we're going to be doing now. So let's dial in a loop, let's get a little bit creative and see what this guitar sounds like. So I really enjoyed using this guitar for the loop. It's very dynamic when you're playing, and going to the overdrive channel on that loop, I thought the neck and the bridge pickup had a really nice mid-range to it. I thought the kind of Peter Green tone was pretty cool in areas. In terms of playability, it has to be one of the better Les Pauls I've played. It's actually got a very slim neck for a 59, but I'm actually kind of digging that. I love the 60s reissues, and it kind of has more of a 60s neck than a 50s neck in my opinion, but it's staying in tune really nicely even though it's a really hot day. But of course Jimmy Page was a rock and roller known for his overdriven tones, and let's pile on some gain and see what he can do. So this is the bridge pickup in series mode. Let's hear it. Was that a mid-range booster? Let's have a quick stretch. So I have to say, guys, I've been very impressed with this guitar today. Obviously, it is a collector's piece. It's expensive. It's got all the switching options that you'd want, but it's bare bones. It's an incredible Les Paul that inspires you to play different styles. You're not just going to be able to play Jimmy Page on this or Led Zeppelin, but you're going to be able to play a complete kaleidoscope of different music styles. And that's basically what Jimmy Page was after when he was making this guitar. I encourage all of you to pick up one of these guitars and see what you can create as a musician. It's really inspiring with all the switching options, but fundamentally it's an incredible Les Paul. But we're not done yet. We still have the performance and gig test, so let's go there now. So guitarists, now it's time for the performance and gig test of this Page No. 2 Les Paul. Firstly, we're going to do a cover of Stairway to Heaven, which is my favorite solo from Led Zeppelin. I hope you enjoyed that cover. Now it's time to do the gig test. I'm running into the Mesa Boogie Mark 5 on half volume. So let's see how much feedback naturally occurs. You can definitely tell these are unpotted pickups. That's pretty loud. I bet you've never heard technical difficulties being played on a Jimmy Page guitar, but this guitar has to be one of the most versatile Les Pauls I've ever played. The hidden switches are great for the clean stuff. You can get a really nice riffy tone. It's got a nice thin 59 neck, so it's really easy to do the shred stuff. As you just seen right there, I was able to shred right at the top of the neck and it wasn't very cumbersome. I'm very impressed with this guitar today. It's been an honor to play. So guitarists, it's the end of another Squealing Pig Guitars video. I really hope you've enjoyed this one today. If you have, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video, hit the hype points button and comment your honest thoughts about this Jimmy Page No. 2 in the comment section below. Do you love it or do you hate it? Let me know down below. And finally, if you're new to Squealing Pig Guitars, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button. So for me personally, I really enjoyed reviewing this guitar today. It was an honor to play a guitar that's so iconic, so legendary, but also, of course, because it's so expensive and so rare to get a hold of. So this guitar costs £25,000 on the used market. Some of them go for even more than that. But this is a very unique Les Paul. It's not just a 59 reissue. Obviously, you've got all them hidden switches, which make it so fun to play. Really good for looping and recording. And the guitar itself resonated and felt incredible, like you'd expect anything from the Gibson custom shop. At the end of the day though, it is just a Les Paul with some switches. Obviously the expensive price tag comes from the artist affiliation and the Gibson brand name. Personally though, I don't think it's anything special in terms of the playing experience, but obviously if you're a collector and you're looking for that next piece in your collection, I completely get why you pay that price tag. At the end of the day, I'm not a massive fan of collector's guitars for this reason. Obviously, they're inflated price-wise just because of the artist affiliation. And unfortunately, a lot of these guitars won't actually be played once they're bought up and put into a collection. However, as a guitar player, I can really respect the guitar for what it is, the replication of an iconic guitar, and the fact that it is genuinely a good instrument and it deserves to be played. Let me know what you think about collector's guitars down below. I think we've had this conversation a few times on the channel. These guitars are always sublime and incredible, but unfortunately, because of the fact it is a collector's guitar, it's likely not to be played in the future, which is a shame because as you heard in this video, it absolutely screams. But they're my thoughts today. It's a great guitar. Loves the switching of this guitar. I think it really made it more than just a Les Paul, but then again, the humbucker tones of this guitar also sounded great. It also survived the temperature test, as it has to be at least 30 degrees in this room, and this guitar was absolutely fine the entire demo, which is a great credit to its tuning stability. But as always, guys, let me know what you think about this Jimmy Page guitar in the comment section below. But that is the end of the Squealing Pig Guitars video. My name is Ben Keatley, and I'll see you shortly for another episode. But until then, keep rocking, guys. I'll see you soon.